YouTube? Justin Fuller here, and today I'm outside of the smallest and most affordable SUV that Honda offers, the 2022 Honda HR-V LX. So today we're going to compare it to what else is out there on the market, and of course how it stacks up against last year's generation. So let's hop on in. All right, guys, so one of the first things we should probably do is talk about what's underneath the hood of this Honda HR-V. So let me pull you on in here and talk about that. So you've got a 1.8-liter engine putting out 141 horsepower. Now, you can expect that this is probably not going to have the most get up and go out of all the vehicles on Honda's lot, but it is pretty adequate for this vehicle. So what else is under the hood here? Your oil is easily accessible. Your dipstick is going to be easy accessible as far as getting to your windshield wiper fluids, your radiator. As you spin around, you've got your battery terminals both easily accessible in case you knew you needed to jump or you needed to be jumped. Your CPU, your fuse box, and then you've got air running through here. So I've got a lot of extra space here working if I wanted to add in auxiliary lines for maybe adding fog lights to this vehicle, which does come with standard, or any other kind of auxiliary lighting that I might want to do. All right, guys, so here we are at the front end of this car, and I want to talk to you about miles per gallon as far as what this car gets. So you're getting 28 in the city in this vehicle and 34 on the highway. So that's what's coming out of this 1.8-liter engine behind me. So I want to stop and take a quick second to just throw you up some comparisons, not only for miles per gallon, but first off, I want to start at horsepower. So I'm going to throw you up a comparison so you see some other cars out there in the market as far as how they stack up against this vehicle in a horsepower comparison. Now, after we've looked at that horsepower comparison, then I want to jump over to miles per gallon in a comparison situation. So I'm going to throw that up on the screen now too, so that you can check that out and really get an understanding for how this car stacks up. After we've done that, we'll move on to the next step. All right, guys, so before we do a walk around of this vehicle, I just want to let you know that the price tag on this MSRP-wise is $22,645. So that's where this car starts, right? This is your LX model. Now, the car's only got about, I want to say $600-700 in markup, so you're not going to see a lot of room coming off this vehicle unless Honda has incentives coming back. So just something to be aware of if you're looking at this vehicle. So let's hop on in here and do a walk around. So the first thing I want to point out is that you do have a 17-inch alloy wheel on this vehicle. Now, as you wrap around the front, you do have LED daytime running lights, and then your standard setup as far as your headlight system. Now, you do have some black on the grille, and then of course you have the chrome grille with the Honda emblem right in the center. Now, as we move back around the other side, I will point out that your mirrors are breakaway, just meaning that if you bump them in a parking lot, you'll be good to go. You should be safe there. Now, as you wrap around the back, I will point out you have door handles here, but on the back side, you do have them up high. I like the look of it. It gives it a nice sleek look, but if you've got little ones, it might not be as easy for them to reach the doors. So just something to keep in mind in case you're looking at this and you have tiny ones that need to get in and out of the car by themselves. Now, when we get around to the back of the vehicle, of course, I've got my brake lights set up and then my small spoiler with a brake insert here. I've got a windshield wiper on the back. As you move down, I do have my backup camera right there, and then just a standard exhaust setup as you see. So let's talk about the back end. Now, chances are, if you're looking at the Honda HR-V, chances are you're saying to yourself, hey, I want something small that's compact, but I still need that cargo space, you know, if I need to load stuff in the back in that kind of situation. So let's spin around and talk about the cargo space inside this vehicle. First thing I'll point out is it does have carpet floor mats that comes with the car, so I'm just gonna throw those out of the way. Now, as far as cargo space, I will throw up some dimensions so that you can see what this spacing is right here. And then on top of that, I'll throw up a comparison so that you can understand how this car stacks up against others in the market. Now, as we're talking about this, you of course have your tie downs here and hooks and anchors in case you need to set up for a car seat. You can flip them down. I've got handles right here, so I can throw it down from here, and another one right here, so I can throw them both down. So I've actually got quite a bit of space to use in the back of the car. So if you're curious how much space you have in the back of this car, well, it's enough for me to lay it diagonally. So if camping would arrive, could I absolutely sleep in the car? Sure, I absolutely could. But while I'm here, let's talk about this full amount of cargo space. I'm gonna throw that up on the screen. Now, after that, if I can find some comparisons of other vehicles when you lay the back seat down, I'll throw those comparables up as well, so you can really understand, hey, if I'm laying these down, how much cargo space do I have and how does it stack up against other cars in the market? So let me get off my butt and let's talk about some other stuff. So before we leave the back of this car, there's a couple things that I wanna talk about. The first being a spare, right? So as I pull you in here, I'll point underneath here, you do have the jack and accessories, and you do have a spare to this car, right? So it is full diameter, meaning it is full height, just not full width. So know that this car does come with a spare because not every car out there does now. Now, while we're talking about the back end of the car, I couldn't go any further without talking about Honda's Magic Seat. It's really cool. It used to live on the Fit, which they've discontinued, and now it only lives typically in this car. So let me pull you in and show you what that is. In the back, not only can you fold the seats down as you saw earlier, but I can fold these seats up. So if I wanted to put a bicycle through here, I wanted to use a TV, I wanted to do potted plants, anything that needs to sit tall, I could absolutely do in this car. So if you're looking for a car that has a lot of space, not only cargo-wise, laying the seats down, and then of course, if we're talking about flipping the seats up, this is a fantastic option. All right, YouTube, so here we are in the second row of the Honda HR-V. Now I'm a 6-footer at about 235, so I'm not a little guy, but I wanted to show you that I can actually fit in this vehicle. So as I flip around here, I'll show you with the seats pushed almost all the way back, how much space I've got here, and then if you want a little bit more space, you could obviously slide them forward. So even as a bigger dude, I can fit back here, so don't be deceived by the size of this car, assuming no one's gonna be able to fit in it. Now, with that said, I do want to throw you up some comparisons. So I'm going to throw those up on the screen so you can really understand how this car stacks up as far as second row leg space. Now, after we've taken a look at that, let's move on to the next topic. All right, guys, so here we are in the front row of the vehicle. So the very first thing I want to talk to you before I flip around and show you the dash and kind of the layout and everything else is leg space, right? It's important. Hey, am I going to fit in this car? So let me spin you around and show you what I got back here. I got the seat all the way back, and I've got quite a bit of room. And as I said, I'm a 6-footer, so even if you were 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", you could probably still fit in this car. Now, with that said, I'm gonna throw up a leg space comparison for the front row. So this way you can understand how this car stacks up against other cars out there on the market currently. So take a quick look at that. Now, once we've looked at that, now we're gonna swing around and we're gonna start talking about the dash and the seating and the arrangement of the car. So let me start you over here on the right side and kind of work your way across. So it is a cloth interior on the LX. So I wanted you to be able to see that. And you've got kind of print finish here running down just a classic black. Over here, you do have like a leather interior as far as covering where your elbows and hands would typically go. You'll find that same material on the center console that is sliding in case you need to slide it up. Now, as we work our way across the dash, I will point out that you have so many air vents for your passenger. We care about them, apparently, so know that. Now, as you move across here, I will point out that you have the smaller display screen here, and I will go over that in a minute, but it does have a CD player, which I don't think you'll find in any other Honda at this point. So just something to be aware of. Now, you got your AC controls, another air vent, your flashers right here, and then as we move across the analog display here, over to the other side, we've got some buttons and knobs. So the first 3 buttons that you're gonna see are gonna be your Econ button, which when I engage, you will see a green leaf appear right up here. Now, what this does is it improves gas mileage on the car, but in doing so, you're gonna give up a little bit of the power off the accelerator, and your AC unit isn't gonna glow quite as hard. So just be aware of that. It's kind of a give and take system. Now, below that is vehicle stability assist. This is always on unless you press and hold to turn it off. So in the event that you go into a skid, it'll transfer power to whichever wheel has better traction to help correct for that skid. And then next to it is gonna be your tire pressure monitoring system reset button. So if your tire pressure is low, you'll get an indicator up in the dash. And then at that point, you could check all your tires once you've gotten it back. It should turn off after you drive it a couple miles, or you can reset it if need be. Now down below you do have, of course, your gas popping, for the pop the door, and then below that to pop the hood. So both of those pull tabs are gonna be right there. Now as we move up onto the steering wheel, let's talk about a couple different buttons here, right? So the first thing I'm gonna do is start you over on this left side. These are gonna be your Bluetooth controls. So to answer a call, pull. To hang up a call or go back, pull. And then voice command, pull, right? So if I wanna say call so-and-so, that sort of thing, right? So you would just press and tell you the beep, right? So easy enough. I like that they're hidden kind of underneath, and it's nice and easy, grippable as far as reaching back there. It's kind of natural. Now, as you move up, you're gonna have your volume controls right here, and then your source button, which will change between audio, right? So whether it be FM, AM, USB, Bluetooth, whatever it may be, CD, you can toggle through here. So right now you're not seeing CD because I just simply don't have a CD in the CD player. So that's how this is gonna work. Right now, next to that is gonna be if I'm jumping, between tracks, or if I wanna jump between stations, or whatever it may be. So pretty clean and easy setup on this side. Now, as you move over to the other side, it's gonna be your classic cruise control settings. I press the cruise button. When you do so, cruise main will pop on, which is that green light right there. Just letting you know, hey, it's turned on, but you haven't set it yet. Now, once you get up to the speed you want, press set. And then from there, obviously if I want to increase the speed without turning it off, I can with the plus symbol right there, or turning it down, or completely canceling it. So very easy to understand. Now, if you're looking for things like that adaptive cruise control, some of those other features, you're gonna need to climb models because you're not gonna find Honda sensing in an LX model HR-V. Something I wish they would do, but they haven't done yet. Now, on the other side, you do have, of course, your lighting controls right here, and then your windshield wiper controls for the front, pull down, and then the back is controlled off the tip of the stalk. So easy enough to understand that. All right, guys, so let's talk about this display screen that you're seeing here. So a little bit smaller in comparison to the models above it, so just be aware of that. If you're looking for a little bit more out of the tech side of things, the LX is probably not gonna be the entry-level model that you want. I would highly recommend you climbing models. Now, with that said though, if you're just looking for a classic point A to point B car with a simple setup that's easy to understand, this is a fantastic car. Now on here, of course, I have my radio button here, right? Switch between FM, AM, my simple classic setups, and then media will allow me to jump between like Bluetooth, USB, CD player, that sort of thing. So very easy to understand when you're working through this. Now, jumping around favorite stations or seeking, that's where you're gonna come in here. Your stations will be right across the bottom here if you have them set. Now, if you need to turn the whole thing off, of course, you can press that and turn it on and off. So very easy to understand. And then of course, you do have a volume knob for the vehicle. Now on the other side is where you'd access your Bluetooth, right? So press the phone and this will allow me to jump in, which I've already connected up my phone. So I could get to things like call history, my phone book, dialing, and different things like this. Now, when I'm driving, it is gonna block some of these settings. So just be aware of that. Now, as far as accessing an equalizer on the car, so if I was in my radio, I could come over here and go, oh, I want to change the bass or the treble or whatever it may be. Just scroll down to what you want, then select, and then you can adjust, right? So easy enough to understand. So I'm gonna back out of that with my back button, which I'll point out is right here. Now, as far as jumping into the menu, easy enough. If you need to adjust the clock, easy to do right there. That's all I've got to do to get it is. So as I mentioned, very easy to control. Now, as far as connecting up a phone, I will point out that you would come down here. Now, if you've never connected up a phone, it'll prompt you in the minute you hit this button. But if you needed to connect a second or third phone, go into phone setup, click Bluetooth setup, then from there, add a new device. So easy enough to do, or if you were picking between phones, connect the phone, right? So easy to understand when you're coming through here. Now, if you ever run into Bluetooth issues, one thing I would recommend is coming into the delete device, selecting that device and deleting it. After you delete it here, I would delete that connection from your phone too, which will be labeled Honda Link. That'll typically get rid of issues where you're like, hey man, I'm noticing that it's not connecting up when I plug in my phone, or situations like that. If you ever run into that, or if your phone just updated, happens a lot, I would recommend just deleting those both and then reconnecting fresh, and it usually will get you set up. So just a quick tip or trick for anybody who runs into that issue with this car. Now, that's the touchscreen, or excuse me, not touchscreen, LCD screen. Let me not confuse you. Now, after you've looked at that, if you come a little bit down, I've got my AC controls. Now you can see I have my phone sitting right here, which it's kind of tricky on this one. They've given you a spot over here on the side that you can use for your phone because that is where the wire runs, but it's just a little bit weird. I like to have my phone a little bit visible. I don't know, maybe it's just me, right? So just something to consider. Now, as you move across over here, of course, you can see my shifter right here, which it has LEDs, so anytime I throw something on, it'll light up. Now, I just do on reverse, so I do want to point out your backup camera right there. So you can see it right here with me, so I can see what's behind me, and then I can toggle through. I have 3 different views this, so I have one wide angle, so 170 degrees on this, so you can see left and right and some of the stuff I set outside. Of course, the standard backup camera, and then one aimed straight down. So this is where your hatch is going to open up to. So if you're backing up to like your garage and it's raining, you want to leave at least that much space, right? Now this solid line back here is for parallel parking. So if I was parking there, I want to leave enough space between the 2 cars so that each of us can get out. And you'll see those same lines on all these screens. So that's the backup camera on the vehicle. Now, down here, you have neutral, you have drive, and then you've got a sport mode, which is going to drive, give you a little bit more get up and go, but in doing so, it's going to rev at a higher RPM, give you that more get up and go, but you're going to lose out on that gas mileage. So that 28 in the city and 34 on the highway, be aware of that. Now, below that is your lower gears, L, so this is going to be like first and second if you were trying to crawl out of some dirt or mud and you don't want to spin the tires. That's where this comes into play. Now, one past that, parking brake is electronic, so lift up to set it with your foot on the brake, and of course the indicator will come on, and then to release it, put your foot on the brake, press down to release it. Now, brake hold is set up to where if I'm in stop and go traffic, what I can do is I can turn this button on. Now, I will remind you that you do have to have your seatbelt on to use this button. So let me put my seatbelt on here so that we can show you exactly how this works. Now that I have my seatbelt on, right, I could press the brake hold button. Now, in doing so, you're gonna see brake hold appear right up in there. And what this is gonna allow me to do is when I move the car into drive, it will now hold the brake for me. So what's happening down there is I can release my foot from the brake while the car is in drive and nothing's rolling. We're not moving, right? So it makes life a little bit easier. Now, the minute I touch the gas, it releases the hold and we start to move forward, which, let me straighten out the wheel here. Now, when I come back to a complete stop, you'll see the hold button come back on. I can release my foot and it's still in drive. So this is fantastic for like a drive-through line or just general stop and go traffic. It's a convenience feature. Just be aware of what that is. All right, guys, so now after seeing kind of the quick breakdown of this car, you may be thinking to yourself, I might need to climb up a model, right? Maybe I need a couple extras. What is that gonna cost me and what am I gonna get? So I wanna show you exactly what that is. So if you jump up from this model to the next trim level up, I'm gonna throw a list of items that you're gonna gain and how much additional it's gonna cost you. Because I want you to understand that, hey, if this is something I'm looking at, but I wish I had a little bit more tech in the car, or maybe there's something on this list that I wish that I had, I want you to understand what that is and how much it's gonna cost to get you there. So hopefully that helps out. Now that we've done that, I wanted to walk you back through just some general comparisons from the front end to the back end as we let you go down the road and go hunt down your car that you need, right? So starting at the front of the car, this gets 141 horsepower coming out of that 1.8 liter engine. So horsepower comparison, gonna throw that up on the screen so that you can check that out compared to other cars out there in the market. Now after that, I wanna talk to you about miles per gallon. This car gets 28 in the city and 34 on the highway. Obviously, fantastic gas mileage for a little SUV such as this one, but I want you to see a comparison up on the screen so you understand how this stacks up to other cars out there on the market. Now after we've done that, let's talk about the front row leg space. So where I'm sitting right now, I want you to understand what the leg space looks like and how it competes against other vehicles out there in the market. Now, after we talked about that, we should probably talk about the people that they're gonna be in the back seat that you're driving around in your beautiful new car, right? So I wanna throw up a second row leg space comparison so that you can understand what that is as well. Now, after we've done that, we should jump to the very back and talk about cargo space, because if you're looking at this car, you're thinking I need something that's hatchback-like or SUV-like, chances are you're gonna need that cargo space. So I wanna throw you up a comparison so that you understand with these seats folded fold it up, what does that cargo space look like and how does it compare to other vehicles out there on the market? And then when you fold those seats down, what does that cargo space look like compared to other vehicles out there on the market? Now, with all of that said, what would I recommend? In this vehicle, I think it's a great price point, and for somebody who's looking for a point A to point B car, this is fantastic. It's a little bit off the ground, it offers up the magic seats, it's got cargo space, enough to put people in the vehicle. However, tech-wise, I would love to climb up a model, and I would love to see Honda sensing in the model, right? I think that at this point, Honda should probably be dropping it in all of the cars. However, they didn't. So, in my personal opinion, I would recommend jumping up a model, but if that's not in the budget, no big deal. Know that you are still in a very safe and reliable vehicle that's been around for a while, that is based off the Honda Fit, which has been around for even longer. So, with all that said, hopefully you can do me a couple favors. One, hit the like button. Let me know that you like the video, that you like the vintage shirt. Come on, man, I'm trying. Two, leave a comment. Did you not like something? Do you wish I said something else? Do you think I talk too fast? Some people do. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Add some positivity or give me some constructive criticism. I'll take it all. And then third, subscribe to the channel, man. Let me tell you about other Hondas as they come out, right? Let me give you some tips and tricks. If you're looking for stuff, I would love to provide it with you. I've got a ton of videos on my channel. Now, fourth, I'm adding in a fourth one, share the video. I bet that you're somewhere in some forum, some Facebook group or something, either searching for a car or you already own one. Why not share the video, man? Let people know what I'm about. Check out some of the tips and tricks. Share some of my other videos. It wouldn't hurt. It'd make me feel good. So, do me one last favor. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all the things, and I'll talk to you later. Later, guys!